Call of Duty 2020 gets a major developer upheaval. We talk about Borderlands 3, and WoW Classic gets a release date. Here on episode 6 of the Gaming Casuals podcast. Welcome to the Gaming Casuals podcast, the podcast for gamers who game but don't have time to game all the time. I am your host, John Eichelberger, and to my left, we have the lovely Zach Sharp.
Hello.
And to my right, we have the equally lovely Brandon Hargis.
Thank you. Hi.
We got a lot of news to talk about today, but we're going to tell you that we are on all things social media. Find us on YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. Subscribe to us, hit the notification bell. We're around everywhere, so let us know what you think of the podcast. We want to hear from you. But let us begin. We have got some news this week.
Yes, we do.
Call of Duty 2020.
Yeah, all right.
There's been some things going on with Call of Duty. So, for those of you guys who don't know, this past week, Activision announced that Raven and Sledgehammer have been dropped by the Call of Duty 2020 project, which is a huge deal.
Yeah.
Treyarch is going to lead the project for Black Ops 2020. That's the name of the game in 2020.
And it's what, Black Ops 5 is the rumor?
It's one of them, yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know the quite sequential order of Black Ops, but...
Oh, well, the newest one that was this year was Black Ops 4, I believe.
Was it Black Ops 4?
Yeah, and it wasn't like IV, it was literally I, which is hilarious. So they don't know Roman numerals at all.
That's allowed, right?
I mean, kind of.
So anyway, so Black Ops 5 is the rumor, and it was supposed to be Sledgehammer, right?
Right. It was Sledgehammer Raven. They're a San Francisco-based developer, but they were dropped. So you guys know about the history of Call of Duty. So Call of Duty has been around and had a fall release every year for the past 15 years. And starting in 2012, Activision really started doing a cycle with their developers. Usually it's been Treyarch, Infinity Ward, and Sledgehammer, and they've been cycling them through Call of Duty games since 2012 or so. Michael Condrey, who's one of the founders of Sledgehammer, obviously started a new studio with 2K, and it's been quite the upheaval for them. So it's a pretty big deal to have a Call of Duty title, have a developer completely dropped out. It'll be interesting to see what Call of Duty Black Ops 2020 has in store, but it's a pretty major deal for them. So
yeah. It's huge because didn't they say that what was the studio that was coming after in 2021? Was it Treyarch?
I think it was going to be Treyarch. Yeah.
Now they said that they've moved them up a year.
Right.
And so far,
right. It'd be interesting to see if Activision ends up keeping Sledgehammer and Raven overall. There's a lot of animosity between Sledgehammer and Raven as developers go, and so there's a little bit of iffy stuff happening there.
Raven created one of my favorite Jedi games, Jedi Knight Academy. That's the only thing I know about Raven.
Nice.
I know they've done other side projects, but they've always been this kind of side, supplemental development studio.
Right?
Yeah. So does this change the cadence in which they come out at all, or?
Well, they haven't said much except that Treyarch is, again, I think it is Treyarch.
Taking the project
it's taking the
over.
project over, so they're moving up.
They're just dropping the other developers.
Exactly.
Okay,
so if that changes in the future, obviously Treyarch's not going to come out with a 2020 game and a 2021 game. They're going to be doing their game just a year earlier, which is, again, that's a big deal.
I remember last summer seeing some market research about series fatigue with Call of Duty. So I wondered if this had something to do with changing the cadence. But right now it seems like let's keep the same cycle, but different developers. Right. Let's drop a developer cycle.
You're right. They're going to have to scramble to figure something out, though, if they don't already have some kind of plan in mind. Because if they're going to want another Call of Duty game by 2021, Treyarch's moved up a year.
Yeah.
I'm assuming they're not going to go to just a 2-developer cycle, because then that would put a lot of strain on both Infinity Ward and Treyarch. Because that's going to, it's been used to it for so long. I didn't realize it was 15 years, but that's a lot.
Yeah, so they didn't do those 3 until 2012, but they've had a Call of Duty title every fall since way back in the day. And so it can't be overstated, though, that Call of Duty is a huge cash cow for Activision.
Yes.
This is a huge franchise.
Yeah.
And so to have a developer drop, it's a pretty big deal. So we'll see what the future holds. But as far as Call of Duty 2019, we have a Call of Duty set with Infinity Ward coming out this fall. A YouTuber named Long Sensation, he's from England, he leaked that the 2019 Call of Duty will be entitled Modern Warfare.
Man.
And so,
too soon.
Is this supposed to be a soft reboot? Because I heard that it's potentially.
That's what I've heard. It's a soft reboot of the story, same story beats, right? But maybe mixed up a little bit.
And there's not a whole lot. We don't know a whole lot quite yet. But the fact that they're naming the 2019 COD Modern Warfare, I mean, maybe they're stretching, but if it's a really great title, like I wouldn't mind getting it because I think I think Infinity Ward does a really great job of Call of Duty games. I've played Modern Warfare 1, 2, and 3. Obviously, Modern Warfare 1 being like the premiere. I still remember Ghillies in the Mist going through Chernobyl and Pripyat in a ghillie suit, and then sniping this really bad guy. And so
they know that, like, exactly that. It holds a special place in a lot of people's heart. It's like Modern Warfare 1 and 2 and 3, and even up to 4 were kind of the breeding grounds for this, like, machine that Call of Duty is today. So going back to that is it seems like a no-brainer. It just seems really like an awkward timing for it because, I mean, we're within spitting distance of a remaster of the original. So.
Right.
Well, it's funny. I think Jason Schreier, he tweeted out recently that I think when Modern Warfare 1 came out, it was called Call of Duty 4 Modern Warfare. Right. Now this is the 4th Modern Warfare. It's just called Call of Duty Modern Warfare.
Yeah,
it's like, It's kind of funny how that has come back to the roots there. But.
Totally, yeah.
Yeah, and so I will say, as an aside, I was a guy who played Modern Warfare on the veteran difficulty. Did finish it extremely difficult.
Nice.
But anyway, so I think it'll be a really great game coming 2019. I'm really excited about it. So we'll see how it goes.
I'm a very, the definitive casual fan when it comes to Call of Duty. I enjoy playing multiplayer here and there. I don't think I remember the last Call of Duty game I've purchased. I've played, with friends before at their house or something. I think the last campaign that I played was the one Advanced Warfare or something. I think that was last. Yeah, that was
last
years
one
ago.
I played too.
Yeah. So, and I know they didn't even have a campaign last year with this year with Black Ops 3. Or 4. Black Ops 4. I'm getting so confused now.
So many Black Ops games.
So many. So I enjoy the multiplayer, but I honestly don't know where the series really has gone in recent years. Has it? I know you mentioned series fatigue with that, potentially with it being a 15-year run every year. Is it something that has changed drastically, at least this past one, and then the rumors potentially of the future ones? Do you guys know, or do you guys play it that often?
I like Call of Duty kind of lost me when they started down the Black Ops road. I think Modern Warfare was kind of like the titles for me that I went to overall, because it followed a storyline over the course of the 3 games, and then Black Ops had a totally different story. And then Black Ops was very clunky for me as far as like gameplay was concerned. Like I love the feel and the weapon play of Modern Warfare and Modern Warfare 2. And then Modern Warfare 3 introduced Horde mode, which was really awesome, but I never got into Black Ops, and people loved Black Ops Zombies.
Sure.
Could not get into it. So as far as that's concerned, I'm not sure for myself, but I think 2019, if they're going to bring back Modern Warfare
You're excited about
as a
it?
reboot, I'm kind of excited about it.
I might check it out too.
Yeah, I'll take a look at it. I wasn't a big fan of the last title. Was it Call of Duty World War II?
Yeah, World War II.
Yeah.
Which is kind of another reboot.
Yeah, it was kind of a soft reboot.
There's
as well,
only so many times I can go back. If they're doing it every year, you have to kind of figure out something new. So
Right, totally. And then coming up next, we talk about World of Warcraft Classic. They just got a release date for WoW Classic, Zach, and that's all your game right there, man. That's what you are. You are Warcraft.
It's a game that shaped me. It holds my number 1 spot of all time. I'm super excited about this. A lot of my gaming habits and how I understand and interpret games to this day are shaped on like what WoW did. So to be able to come back to this, I've gone through a lot of stages of thinking with WoW Classic. They've made an incredible game with Battle for Azeroth. Their current expansion is really polished. Mechanics are great. All the systems are optimized. But there's this classic version that's coming out that's just so raw. They're keeping all of the issues and the original models and the bad spawn rates and all the things. I'm looking forward to playing it. I've got several friends, like I grew up playing this in middle school with. Kit Sawyer was the hunter, the dwarf hunter, and my friend Anthony and a couple others. And it'll be fun to revisit that with a couple of those guys. One funny thing about this is they just had a stress test. And they had a lot of people that weren't in WoW Classic reporting bugs that weren't actually bugs.
Yes, I saw that.
And they had to put out a list of don't report these things because they're not bugs.
They're features.
They're features, yeah.
Right.
It's like, this is how it was. And it was stuff like health regen, spawn rates, that kind of stuff, where people are reporting, like, this is not going, like, it's not regenning, like, at all, and they're like, nope, you gotta, like, eat food and all that kind of stuff. So it's definitely hardcore. It's definitely rose-colored glasses, and I'll be interested to see who this appeals to, because I think even within the hardcore classic fans, the guys that grew up with this, a lot of those guys probably still just want to play retail. So we'll see. I'm excited. It has a release date and it's coming out this summer. This was a huge work for Blizzard, pulling out the files, redoing it. We're talking about infrastructure that was created for an old system that was not, a lot of the stuff was not moved up. So there's a lot of behind the scenes stuff that they're putting out with WoW Classic. Like, here's how we handled this kind of thing back in 2007, 2006. Here's how we can't do that in this day and age. So definitely interested for it.
I think it's hilarious that there's so many things that people think are bugs. It's just quality of life things that have changed. It's so funny.
There's a certain magic to having things that were in the original game back for, I guess, the re-release. And I harken back. Obviously, I have MMOs I've played as a kid. RuneScape was the big one. You know? And Jagex has since had RuneScape 3 or 4 or whatever, that's where it's at now is totally different than RuneScape Classic. And RuneScape, Jagex found out that their fans wanted RuneScape of yore, and they brought it back to a golden era. And they didn't add anything else. Everything was completely the same, and it changed. It really is a cash cow for them in that way because no one plays the new RuneScape. They play RuneScape Classic. So having a WoW Classic is a pretty big deal. Pretty awesome that they're keeping true to the formula they had back when it was released. So
RuneScape is kind of the example right now. The other example is EverQuest. They have a classic server where it progresses through the same expansions just over the same course of time. So you can kind of it's just a time capsule kind of situation. So between RuneScape and EverQuest and people doing private servers for WoW Classic, it's kind of been proven as a model. So we'll be, depending on how successful it is for WoW, we'll see how that goes. But it's basically, they're bundling it into the existing subscription.
That's cool.
That's really nice.
So no additional cost to play it. If you want to play, you just choose between the retail version and Classic.
Cool. Prices aren't changing. People will probably subscribe just for that. Some people will probably switch between the two, but it just comes with the subscription.
That's really cool. And the same graphics and everything, I'm assuming?
Same blocky.
Everything.
Someone posted a screenshot of a squirrel, and it was 3 polygons.
That's
amazing. It was a brown triangle. So, it's all in full glory.
Oh, man.
Excellent.
I can't wait. That's something, too. I played WoW back in the day. I think I started right with Burning Crusade. It was the first expansion. And I went through Lich King and Cataclysm. And that was where I stopped, was Cataclysm. So did you play all the way through? Have you been playing all the way through up until now? Or?
I've played every expansion. I haven't played consistently after Cataclysm, but I have played through every expansion. And I think that's a good point that there are these beats where if WoW Classic is successful, it'll pick up people along the way that love Burning Crusade because that's where they started. Wrath of the Lich King is the obvious one there because it's probably the most successful WoW's ever been in its history. So I'm hoping we get to the point where we can release these expansions in a classic way and pick up more people. So we'll see.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, we also have releases on the horizon. Neo 2 just went into alpha this past week, May 24th. Neo 2 is in alpha mode. And essentially, just to give you guys a quick rehash of what Neo was a massive Souls-like game that was exclusive for PS4. And it took place during the Tokugawa transition in Japan's history it had a bunch of fantastical Japanese mythology kind of infused in the gameplay. And the game is incredibly detailed. It's got a lot of combat, a lot of magic. It's got a loot system. And it's it's a Team Ninja title, which is kind of threw me off because Team Ninja makes a lot of hack and slash, Hyrule Warriors, Fire Emblem Warriors, and others that are live. But, I didn't expect it to be so great, but I have played the crap out of Neo, and I've really, really enjoyed it. And so Neo 2, the fact that they're bringing that title back is really exciting for me. And it's not so much different than obviously Sekiro or even a Dark Souls title, but it's reminiscent of that. And so having Neo 2 in alpha is pretty exciting. So
I'm incredibly excited for this. This Neo 1 came out of pretty much nowhere from Team Ninja when it first came out. And I remember hearing about on multiple podcasts this loot-based Souls-like game. And man, it is awesome. And it's different enough from software games to where I don't feel fatigued when it comes to playing those types of games because I know it's going to be kind of a Diablo version of Bloodborne and Dark Souls. I'm not going to say the S word again, but I feel like I'm ready for it. So I'm extremely excited. And at the time, the feudal Japan era that they threw you in was something that was so interesting because they threw in
it was historically accurate to some degree.
Yeah, and we kind of it's easy to take for granted now because it's been redone with Sekiro, but I'm excited for Neo 2 as well. Yeah.
I'm literally just watching you guys, listening. I know nothing about Neo.
Yes.
If that is how you say it, right?
It is.
Neo.
It means divine king.
Please let us know if that is incorrect, because but that's something I know you guys have been talking about Souls like and everything.
Yeah.
I'm so kind of on the outside of that. You mentioned it's kind of there, but it's not the exact same. You mentioned a little bit Diablo style in there. Is it something that I would like? Or
I think Neo offers something that a Souls game doesn't, in the fact that like it makes you want to keep playing even though you die a lot. You know, I feel like Dark Souls can easily make you weary. Like the story isn't defined and it's so brutally punishing, but once you get the hang of Neo, which isn't a very long time, like you can easily beat all the opponents. There's so many great mechanics they use that keep you playing. I feel like you would really enjoy Neo for what it's worth. Neo is meant to be played like ad nauseum. Like you can play through the first playthrough and then you can play up to like, I don't know, like I'd say I've seen people go up to like 30 times through the game, and the levels of the weapons keep increasing, and so it gives you more incentive to play. And eventually you get to like super divine weapons. It's really, really crazy, like the stuff you can do in the game, but yet like it doesn't ever get old, you know? And so if you're gonna play a game, Neo is very inexpensive now. You can get it for $30. It is a really great PS4 exclusive to play if you have PS4. So we'll recommend.
If you're worried about, if you have always been interested in Souls-like games but are worried about the approach or the difficulty, not that Neo is easy, but it's mechanically a little heavier. It's not like this. If Sekiro is like this minimalist like skill tree, you're not really getting any stronger. You're just kind of getting more moves. This is like your bag's full of items. There's color rarity. You're equipping new items, that kind of stuff. So mechanically much heavier and friendlier to get.
I'm
into.
excited to see more of it. You said it comes out.
So Neo 2 is an alpha.
Oh, okay.
So like
that's right.
Very bare minimum like testing. They release it to a few influencers to kind of get an idea of what it's like. Very, very closed alpha. And with that, Borderlands 3.
Borderlands 3.
They had a huge announcement a couple weeks ago, and we haven't talked about it yet.
I know.
Let's talk about it.
It's so exciting. So Borderlands 3 was officially announced. It is coming out September 13th. And
of this year. This year,
which
guys.
is exciting.
No,
they had a big,
awesome.
oh, I know. They had a reveal trailer, and then they had a big gameplay reveal where they had a bunch of streamers, a bunch of content creators come out and play the game for a couple hours and get to just experience it. Nice. And they gave out a lot of information about what's coming. They have changed a few things, which is really nice. They've updated for that current play because it is a looter shooter or shooter looter, however you say it. And have you guys
Loot
played
shooter?
Yeah,
shooter looter.
They say I can't remember which one it is,
from
but
the
they
south.
say
From the south.
Shooter looter.
Straight from Nashville, y'all. Here we are.
So, have you guys played Borderlands 2?
I loved Borderlands 1 and 2.
I just played.
Borderlands.
I recently put in. I have a handsome collection on like every platform you can imagine, and I just recently played through 2 with all the DLC again, and it is kind of like I feel like I maxed this game out before, and it's a little stale. I mean, Borderlands basically built like loot shooter genre, so it's like the grandfather, but it's been iterated on. So I'm really interested to see what you said, they've improved all these like mechanics and gameplay systems. So
exactly, that was one thing that I was reading something about someone who played Borderlands 3 and how it's kind of ruined Borderlands 2 or 1 for them because
that's great news.
Because things like just movement, being able to run and sprint, slide. I think you can. What is it called? Where you
double jump?
Not double jump, where you climb up on
clamber.
the clamber. Yeah, clamber. Where you can vault or whatever it is.
Word.
Yeah, you can clamber up on top of something when you jump at a ledge or something. A lot of things that you don't take for granted in games you have nowadays.
Yeah.
You mentioned things that other games have iterated on.
Yeah.
They have added those things to Borderlands 3, which is awesome.
That's
because it needed it. It needed an update. Because when was Borderlands 2? I think it's been
a long time
a
ago.
long time since that came out. And there's been things since then. Like they've had the Telltale game, Tales from the Borderlands. They've had
Rip Telltale.
I know.
R.I.P.
So I mean, that was my fear with pre-sequel. Is like, man, I just don't want a reskinned Borderlands, or like a slightly upgraded Borderlands. So that's great. To hear.
It is all new. They have 4 new Vault Hunters, like they have every time. Every time there's a new Borderlands game, and they've only demoed 2 of the 4 in the gameplay reveal, and the skill trees they have. There's so much information out there that I won't go into here, but it looks really cool. They have updated a lot of the UI, a lot of the skill trees. It looks more fun to just dive into that. They've added little things like item or gear score to all the weapons, which is really nice because if you've played any game like Destiny or any WoW, Division, any of those things, that's something that is a nice addition, having that gear score item level. There's things like loot instancing. That's a huge thing. So in the older Borderlands, you play with friends because it was a big deal playing 4-player co-op. A lot of times you'd have loot ninjas where they jump in, grab the gun because everybody has that same pool of loot. Well, they've now turned on, which you can turn off if you want to experience that classic Borderlands group feel. You can turn on loot instancing, which means that when you go into a fight, if you guys kill a bunch of enemies, all that loot on the ground is specific to you. It's yours, which is really great. You don't have to worry about someone coming in and snagging something. On top of that, that does give you the ability to play with people who are much higher level than you. I think it scales, is what they were saying, the difficulty.
That's really nice.
So that's really super great. When you have someone who's a higher level, you want to go in and play with them, but you want to be able to do something. You don't want to just have like a pea shooter. Yeah, exactly. So that's a nice thing. I think Division 2 does a really good job of that as well. To go into that, like going in with someone when you're a much lower level is really nice to be able to feel like you are powerful enough to do something.
Agreed.
So I'm glad they have that. But again, you can turn that off if you want to experience Borderlands in the classic way. I know for me, I'm going to be having loot instancing on because I want my gear, I want my loot, don't touch it.
It's just more enjoyable for everyone.
I
mean, it's, when like personal loot came out in WoW, I was just like, this is so great because it caused so many issues.
Oh, yeah.
And it kind of shakes out the same with drop odds. It just feels better.
Yes.
It's one of those things where it's like so much psychology is involved. It's like the drop rate is the same, or you're gaining items at the same rate, but it just feels like you're guaranteed something, kind of,
Well, and that's something too with other games that have done that in the past. When loot is such an important part of the game, when you don't get the loot right, the loot drops, how many drops you get in a certain amount of time, the quality of drops, it really affects the game. I know Anthem had a lot of issues with that with the loot, and so I'm really excited to see what they do with this. But it is all come back to guns. I think that was one thing Borderlands 2 talked about. They had 1 billion guns because they had so many different types. They had different manufacturers of guns and different kinds of guns inside of that with different elemental abilities. And that's something in Borderlands 3, it's no different. You're going to have just tons of options. And I think what I've been seeing is they're going to really lean on the whole manufacturer side. If you guys played, there's there's Malawan, there's TDR, there's Shakeups, there's all these different brands of guns, which is really smart because they all have their own unique personalities. And I cannot remember, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think one of the manufacturers, I think TDR, is the ones in Borderlands 2 when you emptied your clip. You just threw your gun. You just dropped it because it was done, and your gun spawned a new one right there. That was a perk of the TDR. Again, if that's wrong, I'm sorry.
No, it's right.
That is one of those things.
It does damage based on your existing clip. So
exactly.
All right, I'm gonna nerd out for a second. So when you're doing these raid bosses, right? So you get this giant LMG TDR. You take one shot and throw the entire clip into this boss. You're doing giant chunks of damage. Oh my gosh.
Yeah. It's really cool. So on Borderlands 3, and they showed this, they have new perks with these manufacturers where you still, with TDR guns, you would still throw it at your enemies when you empty your clip or before then. And the fun thing is they have different things where the gun might sprout legs and run around and shoot people as it's after you throw it. So that's crazy. You might have a gun where you throw it and it turns into its own heat-seeking missiles or grenades that still seek the enemy. You might have a gun where you have alternate firing modes where you press a different button on the controller and it switches from an assault rifle to a grenade launcher.
That's awesome.
It is so cool to see the options we have coming in Borderlands 3 because, again, shooter looter, you got to get the loot right, you got to get the guns right.
Adds value to the foundation of Borderlands. Yeah.
So I think from what they're saying, it looks like they are going to get some of these things just right.
I hope it. Do you know anything about cross-platform?
I was going to ask you just now. Now, didn't they say? I think I remember seeing something when they first announced the trailer. There was something out there on Microsoft's on their game page where it did say something about cross-platform, but I think it might be Xbox PC. Now, I am trying to remember, this may be for a different game, but I want to say there might be something. I didn't see anything. They didn't talk about that, I don't think, unless I just missed it. But that would be amazing because we would love to play with you.
Yeah,
I'd be getting on Xbox, so I'd love to play with you if you were on PC.
PC Master Race.
Yeah,
I get it. I understand.
So it's exciting.
Yeah, and so with that, we're going to talk about a little bit about mobile gaming. Talk a lot about console gaming on this channel. Some
Gotta
PC
share
gaming.
some love, yep.
Let's talk about the mobile gaming market. So Nintendo has been hardcore pushing out a lot of mobile game development. And so for those of you who play Nintendo games like Super Mario Run, or maybe Fire Emblem Heroes, or Animal Crossing Pocket Camp, Nintendo has announced a big push to really put a lot of their IPs into the iOS and Android markets. We have Pokemon Rumble Rush, which just came out for mobile. It's a Pokemon
Wow, sounds
game.
like a mobile game.
Yeah, it's just their most recent release. And then obviously we have Mario Kart Tour, which went into closed beta with Android this past week.
Nice.
In Japan only, right? Or is it everywhere?
It may have been Japan only.
I don't remember where, but I know it's not for me with an iOS device. So
Right. So
that's all I know.
the point is Mario Kart Tour went into closed beta with Android. So that's really, really cool.
Awesome.
Mario Kart Tour is going to be similar to Super Mario Run, where you don't accelerate the cart, you kind of like direct the cart as you're playing it. Nintendo has realized very quickly that they can make a ton of money on the mobile gaming market. Obviously, Fire Emblem Heroes being one of their biggest money makers, they made so much money when it got released on just microtransactions alone.
Yeah.
And so we've talked about microtransactions before, but it's going to be similar with other titles that come out. Super Mario Run is not transaction based per se. Fire Emblem and Animal Crossing, however, we want your money. So
I played a good bit of Animal Crossing, and it is very. You have the opportunity to spend some money on that. And Super Mario Run, it's funny. I don't play mobile gaming games that often at all. And between Super Mario and Run and Animal Crossing, those are probably I put more time into those games than I have any other mobile game. To this day, I play Super Mario Run consistently. I deal with a lot of anxiety sometimes, like in the car and like on trips and stuff like that. And Super Mario Run is like, it's literally my remedy. I'll like play this game, I'll look down and get sucked into it for like 30 minutes or whatever and feel completely better. So
nice. One hand on the wheel, one hand on Mario. Is that right? No, I'm
driving.
kidding.
Yeah,
just kidding.
Exactly. Yeah. no, when I'm not driving.
Okay, good. Just clarifying that.
But they're amazing games, and they've continued to add to them. I'm definitely happy with the consistency that they've kept up with them.
Good.
And I'm really like, I have a really big heart for Nintendo. Like I've really enjoyed playing them as a kid, and I can't say that, as far as like a publisher going into what was traditionally console gaming into a whole new market, they've brought in the magic of the Nintendo franchises with these games. And I feel like Super Mario Run being a perfect example. Like, I love Super Mario Run. It just reminds me of a really fine-tuned version of Super Mario World and something that I can really enjoy and get behind as far as a really great title. So coming along the line, Nintendo titles are happening. Before we end our podcast, though, I want to talk about what we're playing. What have we been playing recently? I will begin.
Please do.
So not a lot of time to game this week, but I have been trying to pick up my Destiny 2 light level, getting into Season of Opulence. Made a quick plug for it. A whole segment of it last episode, and of course I've been keeping up with Final Fantasy VII. I haven't played Final Fantasy VII all the way through. I've really enjoyed playing that game for Switch. Just has brought a lot of joy, just like playing through the game and being able to speed through it. It's actually a lot of fun. So
that's cool.
How about you guys? What have you guys been playing this week?
I had not a lot of time as well. I've been playing the Division 2 here and there since last time we recorded. The raid did drop recently. Quick note on that. Supposedly it's impossible for console gamers is what I've been hearing.
And they have no plans to make it easier.
PC gamers have completed it, but supposedly console gamers are having a really tough time. So that's something good to look forward to.
Thanks
but
Division.
With 8 people, it is pretty exciting. I know I have a few friends that are ready to play. Sadly, I am the wait though. I'm only level 21. Max level is level 30. So I have some catching up to do,
Nice.
But the good thing is it's pretty easy to jump through and level up, especially when you have someone who is higher level to kind of carry you along the way. It is a blast playing, so I hopefully will have more time for it in the weeks to come. So
Nice.
Division 2.
Fantastic. Zach, how about you, man?
Yeah, I'm last time we talked about what we're playing, I've been going through this, like, I can't really find something to sink my teeth into. Nothing's changed. I'm still playing, I'm jumping around. EA Access, I've dug into a few things. I've looked at The Sims, and I've looked at Cities Skyline. The big things I've spent time on are Elder Scrolls Online. I jumped back into.
Really? Nice.
Yeah, and it's been really enjoyable, and I've kind of played it. I'm playing an MMO like in a single-player way, where I'm like just kind of head down.
Just do your own thing.
And I'm like, there's a game for this. Skyrim was a thing. So then I put down ESO, and I played Skyrim, and I added a bunch of mods, and I'm enjoying that as well right now. In a similar sense, Black Desert Online is a extremely polished, really nice MMO that I've never touched before, and they're doing a free weekend.
Oh, cool.
And I've tried that out, and I've actually been super impressed with that. It's kind of a tough landscape for MMOs right now, but it's impressive how many people this game has picked up. But yeah, other than that, it's been kind of like just on and off with Civilization. You know, it's a baseline.
Still playing that?
Are you still Gandhi?
No more Gandhi. I'm just full Genghis Khan war every single time.
Despotism for the win.
Right. That kind of led me to play Frostpunk. It was a big 2018 hit, and it's similar to Civilization in that it's kind of a strategy 4X kind of game, but it's an indie dev. It's totally different. You're like the world is lost in this snowstorm, and you have to rebuild civilization.
But not Lost Planet.
But it's not Lost Planet. But this game has been really interesting because it's so much more tense than Civilization. It's like you got to keep everyone warm, you got to feed everyone, and like literally as soon as you take care of something else is going off. There's a timeline. People are dying. There's like amputees. So it's like Civilization. If
it's post-apocalyptic in a snowstorm.
Yeah, it's just much more stressful. But incredible game, really impressive that indie devs made it. But yeah, it's I'm still settling in. The biggest thing that I've been satisfied with lately is a game called Outward. It's a co-op, like almost single-player MMO kind of situation built by an indie studio that they've come out and said, we've used no crunch to create this game, so
nice.
It's ethically created.
Nice.
It's cage-free video games.
Yeah.
One of my best friends, we played this co-op, and it's so much fun. Outward, it's PC only. Okay. It's very survivalist. It's very unforgiving. It's kind of Skyrim in a way where you just go out, you find ingredients, and you create stuff, and you find armor, that kind of stuff. So that's been really interesting. It's really a refreshing game. But yeah, that's lots of PC games. I'll continue to explore.
I was going to ask if all those were all PC. Okay.
Yeah, all PC. Skyrim's on everything, like your guitar monitor.
Yeah,
and
on your refrigerator.
Your Game Boy Classic
Alexa.
refrigerator. Yeah, so
actually, it is on Alexa, so that is kind of fun.
It actually is on Alexa. Right.
Time will tell if Zach truly gets back into the console gaming world, but until then, it's Skyrim on PC.
Yeah.
Excellent. Well, guys, we really appreciate you guys tuning in for episode 6 of our Gaming Casuals podcast. You guys can find us on all things social media, YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, Twitter. Please hit the subscribe and the notification bell icon. We really appreciate you guys. We'll see you next time. Find us on iTunes and Spotify where podcasts are sold. We'll see you later for episode 7.
See ya.
Bye.